Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second session on a walk through the Isha Upanishad. I hope I am loud and clear. And if anyone has any technical issues, kindly report on the chat. I shall begin with a small invocation. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Last time we discussed about this beautiful gem of an Upanishad, the knowledge which takes us nearer to God, gives us spiritual nourishing intelligence, and that too in a very short, concentrated form. Upanishads are not like the Puranas where there's a long winding history of how something happened. We also saw that Upanishads are like the headlines of a newspaper. So the headline gives you a basic understanding as to what happened. And for further details, you go in the main column. So since we have seen the first 5 mantras and some of you ask questions, we will have certain questions taken at the end of our session today. And so we begin with Isopanishad, mantra 6. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. Spiritual life is a life of growth, and it's a life of education. So you have preschool, kindergarten, playgroup, or whatever, together with the primary school. Then you have the high school, and then you have college, where you do graduation, post-graduation, or a doctorate level. The ancient Vedas say that even the practitioners can be understood according to their maturity. So we have the first stage, the middle stage, and the highly advanced stage. The technical names for them in Sanskrit language is Kanishtha, Madhyama, and Uttama. Kanishtas are those who are like the regular temple goers. If you ask someone, why are you going to the temple? Well, I would like to see the Lord, Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narayan. Somebody may go to a Lord Mahadev temple or to a temple of Durga Devi or a Ganesh temple. Somebody in Jagannath Puri may go to the Jagannath temple, in Dwarka to the Dwarkadhish temple, Badrinath, Lord Badri Narayan, and Rameshwaram. Traditionally, Indians have called them the Char Dham. There are also Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Jamnotri. These are the four holy places in the Himalayas. And then you have Dwarka, Jagannath Puri, Rameshwaram, and Badrinath. We are trying to go a little bit deeper into understanding the inner software, if you can allow me the word software. Why software? Just see here. A person in the beginning stage gets that kind of feeling that, oh, Monday means temple worship, Tuesday is temple visit, or Thursdays and Fridays temple visit. So that regular temple worship is because the idea that I only see the Lord over there. In this stage, the lowest stage, a person cannot understand who is actually advanced and who is not. And a common theme which we find that makes people kind of leave religion, kind of leave satsangs, kind of having a very negative attitude because they see people quarreling. They see people with shaven head, big beard, saffron robes, white robes, yellow robes, no robes, big malas in their neck or no malas, meditators. But they quarrel. And especially sometimes the quarreling is about this is a better type of worship than what you are doing. Mine is better. My God is better than your God. I was actually relieved to understand that quarreling, like we see quarreling between sports teams, politicians always quarrel. That's like their fuel for their political growth or whatever. But especially in today's times, it is very imperative that we understand that the moment you see somebody quarreling over trifle, superficial, very elementary issues, safe to say that this is not the sign of somebody who is even on the middle platform. Let us move on to the middle one then. Here, a person shows four kinds of approaches towards life: religious life, as well as social life. The four things mentioned are love and affection, very friendly dealings, being extra gracious, merciful, and trying to avoid. Let us see what are the four things, what somebody loves, what somebody is interested in being friends with, trying to be compassionate or merciful, and trying to avoid. So a Madhyam platform practitioner, he or she tries to increase his or her love for God, affection towards God, friendly dealings, towards those who are in a similar position. Extremely helpful, going out of your way to help someone who's a bit who has come in the process later, or somebody asks a question that, okay, you are practicing this process for the last 5 years. I am just a new entrant and I have a few queries. The person on the middle stage very gladly sacrifices his or her time to help someone. And there is plenty of evidence. They say that when you teach, you learn twice. When you teach, you learn twice. You also get this conviction that maybe while I am giving these lessons, I am also getting benefited. So, love towards God, friendly dealings towards the devotees, other practitioners, being helpful, compassionate, merciful to those who are junior to you, whether by with respect to time or maturity or both, and avoiding any kind of dispute, avoiding any kind of conflict with those who are plainly very bellicose, as they say. They are argumentative, they want a conflict. Now, both the lowest position devotee and the middle position devotee, they both take help from the topmost one. And we read that definition of what exactly do we mean by topmost. I'll read it again. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. Suffice it to say that this is not to be imitated. Easy to imitate this, but very hard to live this. But what about somebody who is told that, oh, you are a great leader, you are a spiritual leader, and there are people who are actually lower or higher? Guess what will be the answer from the topmost person? He said that, look, I only see this person as who has utilized his independence, which has been granted to him properly, and therefore now he is in this particular position in this material world. And if somebody is very wretched, poverty stricken, economically, politically, socially, spiritually, whatever way he is very inferior, the topmost devotee says he has just misused his minute independence. Like we see uh, citizens who follow the laws, because of following restrictions, they have the maximum freedom to move about. Is it not so? And those who decide to break the regular laws, from them even that independence is taken away, and then they are called prisoners. Is a prisoner like it is written on somebody's forehead that he is a prisoner? No. It is just the use and misuse of independence that makes the difference. Isopanishad in so many places lays a great stress on how a person sees things in his or her life. And it recommends, the Sanskrit word is anupashyati. Do not depend on your own independence. Do not depend on your own faculties of sight, hearing, taste, smell. Why is that? There's an example given of a car which breaks down on a highway. A The driver goes to the nearest pole, there is an emergency phone, and he calls a mechanic. The mechanic comes, opens the bonnet, looks at the engine and the other parts very minutely. Then he tells the driver, go back, start the car. So he tries to start, doesn't start. The mechanic goes to the edge of the road, finds a huge boulder, a stone. He brings it back, tells the driver, start the car again. He tries to start, sputter, 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 doesn't start. Bang! He gives a big bang on the engine, and the car starts. So the driver is very happy. Oh, thank you so much. I was about to go to Pune, and then I see that I'm stranded here. So what are the charges? He said that 1,000 rupees. Now the driver complains, 1,000 bucks just for giving a bang with a boulder, with a stone. I could have done that. So the mechanic said, then why did you call me? Actually, it is 10 rupees out of this 1,000 for lifting up that rock and smashing it on, not exactly smashing it, but hitting one particular part of the engine. And 990 rupees are for understanding where to hit and how hard. The driver happily agrees that indeed it is so. I could have done it, but then I don't know where to hit. Apart from the humor here, if it is my body and my shoulder pain, but I take somebody with sophisticated intelligence to tell me this is not a frozen shoulder, this is something else. So I am hearing from an authority, but did the doctor, the orthopedic surgeon, or the chiropractor, or the acupressure expert, did they get the knowledge by themselves? You'll always find somebody saying, I am doing Reiki and I'm practicing for the last 17 years. I am an acupressure specialist, I'm doing for the last 20 years. I'm a homeopath. I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. This is the mentality which Isha Upanishad is saying we should be using in our spiritual path. Only hear from people who have heard from the chain of Guru Shishya Parampara. So the key points of mantra 6 is there are 3 stages: the beginning, the middle, and the highest one. And there are differences in the way people behave according to their stages. Suffice to say that quarreling means the lowest stage. The middle and senior-most people never quarrel. That's what it means to be at the highest level. We move on to mantra 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhudvijanatah tatra ko mohaka shoka ekatvam manupashyatah. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Oneness, ekatvam, is a fairly repeated word coming in Isha Upanishad. So what exactly this oneness? It is explained here. Seeing everything as the energy of the Lord. Seeing diversity, but not getting affected by the diversity. In fact, seeing everything as the energy. That's the real oneness. And what is ekatvam? Eka, one. Ekatvam in totality is not possible. Even if there's a committee, there's a team, or a political ministry, we have Mr. Modi and he's called Prime Minister. Is there anyone who also is called Prime Minister? No. But at the same time, as a citizen, Mr. Modi is as much a citizen of this country as you and me are. So, in totality, oneness is not possible. We are using the term the Supreme Lord. Why do we call Krishna as the Supreme Lord? Well, in one sense, there has to be someone who is the Supreme Lord. Let's, for argument's sake, people say that, no, I don't agree that your choice is the Supreme Lord. So then the obvious question is, so what is the, what do you say? I say everybody is equal. Well, in the last session, we saw that God is described as someone who surpasses everyone else. So the facts are already out there that there is one person who is surpassing everyone else. So there is no question of totality of oneness everywhere. But then it is God Himself who has given this knowledge and He is aiming for some oneness. Here, the oneness is the oneness of interest. Like, as citizens of one country, they are told by their leaders, we are all one. We are all citizens. We are all one. Our objective is development of our nation. So when there is no clash of interest, that is real oneness. In other Vedic literature, it is said that all living beings are compared to sparks of a fire. And God is like a huge, big, blazing fire. Those sparks who remain in the fire, they remain fiery, they retain their fiery quality. Those who fall out, they retain their brilliance or luminosity for some time and then they lose it. So this material world is a place where we have lost that luminosity because not having the same interest. And by using Vedic knowledge, by engaging ourselves, our resources in this understanding, we are trying to gain back, we are trying to regain the lost quality of being spiritually aware. To give a concise understanding, here Upanishad says that you and me, the individual sparks or individual living beings, we possess almost 80% of the known qualities of God. Feel happy, isn't it? You feel good. Oh, I am 80% God. Well, hold your horses. But we are not quantitatively equal to the Supreme Lord. These qualities are present in us in minute quantity. So the quantity of salt in a drop of seawater is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean. But that doesn't mean that the particular drop or any drop for that matter is not salty. Check it from east, west, north, south, anywhere, every drop will give salty taste. But the content of salt, the quantity of salt in the complete ocean cannot be compared. So That's the way to understand how the two key points of seeing oneness. We see different bodies, a dog, a cat, camel. So that is the difference. But the oneness is they're all spiritual sparks and they're all part of the energy of God. And ekatvam, second key point, totality not possible, but not possible in quantity, but possible in quality. We move on to mantra 8. Isopanishad mantra 8. Saparyagat shukram akayam avranam asnaviram shuddham apapaviddham kavir manishi paribhu swayambhur yatha tathyato arthan vyadadhaj shashvatibhya samabhya. Such a person. Now, what is this such a person? This harkens to mantra 7 and mantra 6. That one who is at the highest level, one who sees the unity everywhere, such a person must actually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Now, Isopanishad goes on the track of a little description of what do we mean by God. First of all, it is said God is pure. How much pure? Completely pure. Regarding Krishna, one of the objections raised against Krishna being God right from British times, that why is he so lusty and why he has to dance with the gopis. So please try to understand, mundane lust is called kama. Mundane lust is nectar in the beginning, poison at the end. Otherwise, we will not be seeing so many breakups, which is a big issue nowadays. Almost all the self-motivating and uh, life coach gurus, they make videos on how to deal with a breakup. It begins with lust, and lust doesn't have any foundation. But if you see Krishna's lust, so it is explained that apparently it appears that Krishna is dancing with young girls, that too at dead of night. But it is not that Krishna is contaminated. What is the explanation? Those who were dancing with Krishna, they are the eternal associates of Krishna. They are not ordinary women. This is all described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They were dancing in their spiritual bodies, not in their material bodies. Their so-called material body was lying down with their husband at home. So the gopis' lila is not material. There is no question of any contamination. Again, taking this matter to our level, materially this kind of activity to dance at dead of night with young girls is not permitted. With other men's wives, of course. You can dance with your own wife. You can't do that to others. That is considered sinful. So, another example is a person might be prohibited to go to a particular filthy place. No, if you go there, you could be contaminated. Like, not a difficult thing to understand in current COVID crisis. If you're told to visit a COVID ward, you have to use your full PPE, personal protective equipment. But the sunshine can go anywhere. Sunshine can go to a place which is filthy with urine, with stool. Nobody can order, sunshine, do not come here. It doesn't require your permission, it can go anywhere. There is some filth on the street, and after some time you find that, well, what happened? It all got dried up, evaporated. Who did that? The sun. But just because the sun purified something, does it mean that the impurities have reached or become, or the sun has become impure? Teji asam na doshaya. Teji asam, those who are very powerful, they don't get any fault. So, Bhagavan is never affected by any so-called impurity. And that's why this verse uses the word apapa vidham. We say God is always good. God is good. That's a common phrase. So superficially, if there is something wrong, it is not wrong. You may say, well, why is that? Because of the power. So certainly this is a big topic of misunderstanding. Many philosophers can't understand that. What is their understanding? If somebody has come down to this material world, that person is affected. That person has to be sinful. So the example is given that God can purify. He is so powerful, he can immediately take up all the sins of others and remove them. But when you and me, we play the part on behalf of God, you also have to take the responsibility. So traditionally speaking, when you become a shishya, you become a disciple, your guru takes all the poisons, all the sinful activities. So God is powerful, and one who acts on behalf of God, he also is powerful. We move on to mantra 9. Andham tama pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyayam rataha. This is a very interesting verse. The translation is, those who engage in the culture of nescient activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. So there are two kinds of education. The Vedas say one is called Brahma Vidya, positive spiritual knowledge. Other is called Jada Vidya, knowledge about matter. A very interesting thing happened when Swami Prabhupada went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Even in the 70s, it was the foremost institution for material physics research. So Prabhupada raised the question, the body is moving, the earth is moving, planets are moving. So we are trying to study the physical laws which govern physics, matter. Where is the department which is studying the mover in the body? And the understanding is simple. A person is moving, so we respect that person. We, in a king's body, in a president's body, in a millionaire's body. Then there is death. What happened? Something went away. And even in not so philosophical way, we say he or she passed away. Like you see somebody in front of you in a vehicle, the vehicle starts and the person goes away. A flight takes off. a yacht goes away, a car moves. But in this situation, the car or the yacht or the plane is right in front of you, but you still say that the owner has passed away. So Swami Prabhupada kept on sticking to this most important point, that a car or a driver, a plane, and the passengers. Why do we say that 155 passengers died in a plane crash? Why don't we say that a $300 million plane was destroyed? In one sense, the plane is made of aluminum and plastic and metal, all matter. And our bodies are also made of matter. From one point of view, the plane should be more expensive and valuable than the muscle and the fat, blood that we have in our bodies. But nobody has given more importance to the plane, saying that, well, 150 people don't matter, but this plane was more expensive. Never. So therefore, here the Upanishad talks in terms of the more we advance in Jada Vidya, the more we become absorbed in matter, the more we are hampered in our progress towards spiritual growth. If you ask someone, why don't you devote some time? Oh, no time. Some people have no time, some people have no inclination, some have both. I don't have time and I don't care. And we have people saying God is dead, I am God, you are God, we are all God. So this kind of thing happens when there is no stress on Brahma Vidya, the kind of knowledge which is explained by Isha Upanishad. This purport also describes two kinds of darknesses. One is no sunlight or moonlight or electrical light, that kind of darkness. The other is more dangerous, the darkness of ignorance. So that we have to be very careful. We move on to the 10th mantra. Anya devahur vidyaya, anyadahur avidyaya, iti shushrumadhiranam, yenastadvichachakshire. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. Science, the opposite of that is nescience. One of the goals of Vedic knowledge is to make a person broad-minded. In colloquial Hindi, they would say that ये 12 गांव का पानी पिया हुआ है. Previously, people would travel, and somebody who has seen more part of the world nearby was considered wise, vis-a-vis opposed to somebody who had just stayed in his own village and, well, his knowledge, his outlook is considered narrow. So how does one become broad-minded? We have seen how in the earlier mantra it is said that you can go on living for 100 years, no problem. We also saw how the human body is very valuable. So just like a businessman uses $1 million to make more millions, $10 to make them 50 or 1,000 rupees to make them 1 lakh rupees.
So that is considered wisdom. Oh, this person knows how to use money properly. What if somebody just hoards money and thinking that I have money and then that's okay? So that's considered miserly. So the purport of mantra 10 says, please broaden your outlook as much as possible. Please broaden your vistas. How do you do that? Throughout the Vedas, the expression is, I have heard. This is what I have heard from authorities coming in the bona fide disciplic succession. Never it is said, I have experienced. Because what could be my experience? In our car breakdown example, if that guy had not called a mechanic and would have seen the engine for 2 hours, 4 hours, he would have still not grasped what exactly is the problem. You need a higher authority. You need a mechanic who has that higher vision. Why? Because of training. And did he become a mechanic just like that? He got trained up under other mechanics. We come to the last mantra of today's session. 12 to 18 will be our third and last session. So mantra 11 goes as like this. Vidyam cha yas tadvedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritamashnute. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Amritam, basically immortality is the goal. Since the beginning of this material world, Isha Upanishad explained to us, everyone has been trying to attain a life without death, permanent life. So what prevents us? The laws of nature are so cruel in one sense that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. No one wants to die, nor does anyone want to become old or diseased. Why then it happens? The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death. Nor has the advancement of material knowledge solved these problems. Far from that. Scientists today can discover nuclear bombs, missiles, rockets. They can only accelerate the process of death. But science cannot discover anything that can protect man from the cruel hands of old age, disease, and death. Actually, people do sometimes think about miseries. They do think that, does God know that I am miserable? Does he have pity? Here Isopanishad describes that God is constantly thinking how to help us. From his kingdom, God sends bona fide servants, prophets, messengers, gurus, acharyas. They propagate the message by which one can turn back. And many times, as is described in Vedic literature, he comes himself. Why does he do it? Well, all living beings are his beloved sons, parts and parcels. He is more sorry than we ourselves are to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. Now, here is a very deep statement. Why are there miseries? The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Spirit soul, fully happy, knowledgeable, and immortal and is packed up tight in a material body which is about to die, which is full of ignorance and no happiness or no bliss. So every misery serves as a reminder, indirect reminder nonetheless, of this condition that we are not of this place, we are not this place. Like a fish taken out of water. Put him in a nice cushion, put him in a nice resort, show him all the daintiest of dishes, but the fish knows that I am not supposed to be here. What do you want, sir? Put me back in water. So, this is how the miseries indirectly remind us. Those who are intelligent, they take note of these reminders and engage themselves in positive transcendental knowledge. Our human life is the best opportunity for the culture of this knowledge. But someone who doesn't take advantage, he slowly chooses to be at the bottom end of the class. Our last point for today is, what about enjoyment? Well, like a patient who has stomach problem, and if somebody says forget eating cakes, pasta, pizza, ice cream, whatever, he may say I can forget mentally, but I mean physically I won't be able to eat, but I can't give up the taste. But at the same time, he has to regain his health before he can truly enjoy food again. Isha Upanishad tells us the aim is not to enjoy in a perverted way. It's not like you take some pill and then your ulcer won't trouble you. And then you can enjoy your food, but then there is a danger that the ulcer may become more acute. So, our normal human temperature is 98.6. So, for good health, a person should not increase fever from 105 to 107, but should bring it back to the normal 98.6. Anything below that, that also may be uncomfortable. Anything above that will make you feverish. So, this is a gradual plan to keep the temperature at 98.6 so that you get the minimum sense pleasure which you want. Sense pleasure is not denied. You regain your health, regain a spiritual body, and then there is no end, no limit to the pleasures which you can have. So we have about 5 minutes for any Q&A. I would like to request our host, if you can see if there are any questions.
Yeah, we've got a few questions, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Very well explained using your signature analogies and examples to drive home the point. So, Prabhuji, God is responsible for purifying us. What is our responsibility towards becoming Pavitra?
Well, this is a nice point. Pavitra means pure, and we were discussing the understanding of how God is a supreme pure. So, our responsibility is, in a non enlightened state, we act like a competitor. We feel that God wants my money, God wants my fame, God wants my the fruits of my labor. And exactly like the hand trying to take a piece of cake and saying, I won't share it with the body, this is my property. But the natural way to enjoy is that the hand should cooperate, put the piece of cake in the mouth. The mouth also doesn't have monopoly. It pushes it down to the stomach, And what does the stomach do? It actually enjoys in one sense. But when other limbs of the body are relaxing or whatever, the stomach slowly digests the food and distributes the energy to each and every nook and cranny of our body. Now, how can there be any more natural explanation than this? So, our responsibility is just to be a normal cooperator and not be a competitor in the greater sense of life.
Okay, thank you. So we need to cooperate with the laws of nature, with the words of God.
It's
So
just like a
Prabhuji,
traffic, if it, like a traffic cop tells you he has led six other cars before you go, and when you come, he says stop. Do you say, why me? Are you biased towards me? You just trust him that, well, there's a big traffic jam, and if I bump into him or I dash him, not only I will not be able to go early, but I'll be fined and I could be in jail. So it is something like that.
thank you. So Prabhuji, the world is quite complicated. The universe is something we sometimes don't even fathom. It seems to be very sophisticated the way it is working. And to believe that there is one supreme person who has a peacock feather on his head, plays the flute in a forest called Vrindavan. Very difficult for people who are very educated, intellectual, difficult to believe that somebody like this person, like a coward boy, is managing all the affairs. I mean, how does one develop faith in Krishna?
Good question. Is Bill Gates a person? Yes. Was Steve Jobs a person? Yes. Is Jeff Bezos a person? Yes. Is Elon Musk a person? Yes. These are all individuals, and still they are managing multi-billion-dollar enterprises. So initially, it could be difficult to understand that, as you rightly said, somebody with a blue colored complexion, with a peacock feather and a flute, and he's managing everything. Rather than utilizing your research towards knowing who Krishna is, if you have an understanding that Arjuna is a great warrior, Bhishma is a great warrior, or the Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, their lives are documented. There is enough historical, archaeological, intellectual evidence about the greatness of these personalities. So when you approach them, it becomes easy, because then you find that although they are great, they still say that I am worshipping the Supreme Lord. Just to give another mundane example, if Bill Gates for me is a big guy, and if he tells me that I practically worship the intelligence of Warren Buffett, he is my guru. So then I come to know how great Warren Buffett is. Because somebody who is already great is glorifying him. So I would urge people to, if they have trouble accepting Krishna, no worries. You understand from your point of view who's a great person. I suggested a few names, like our great acharyas, Shankaracharya, Nimbarkacharya, Vishnu Swami, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. Read about them, understand how great they are. That will be an easy stepping stone towards understanding Krishna. Admittedly, it is not easy to understand Krishna's greatness in the very first level. So that's a given. So this is some way I'm giving a kind of a intellectual shortcut to understand who Krishna is.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we have faith in people, and we tend to develop faith in the faith in the people they have faith in. So it's like a kind of a
Yeah,
chain which will connect us to Krishna.
exactly.
Thank you. Yeah. Proji, when we were in school, we were graded, Okay, you are distinction, you are a first grader, you're a second grader. When we joined corporate world, we were graded. You are a top performer, you are a decent performer, you are a poor performer. Now that we've come to spirituality, again we find some kind of a grading system. You are Kanishta Adhikari, you are Madhyam Adhikari, you are Uttam Adhikari. We thought somewhere the grading would stop, but here it seems that we're being compared in terms of our potential, our performance. So this is a little, bewildering.
Okay, here the grading is not a means of suppressing someone or showing good or bad, inferior or superior. From one point of view, grading is a part of life. For example, for your daughter's marriage, you may say that I would like to use only jewelry from TBZ, Tribondas only. I may say, why not from somebody from Bhinder? You may say, no, I want to see that the quality and everything is top notch. So, isn't that a gradation? You're not exactly condemning those who are lower, but you know that this is a quality I can trust. So, in spiritual growth, you need gradation so that you know whom to trust for uh, a particular situation when you need to grow. The very pertinent thing of quarrels between so-called spiritualists. Isha Upanishad tells you the moment you see people quarreling, that means they are not at the topmost platform. Because if scientists are quarreling, doctors are quarreling, sports people are quarreling, politicians are quarreling, people feel that, oh yeah, they will quarrel anyway. But when it comes to quarreling on the religion platform, they say, not you. You can't do that. But it does happen. Why? Because many times a religious organization also is hijacked by Kanishta mentality. So you need for your own spiritual growth to trust somebody who is a Uttamadhikari. So you're not exactly saying that because this person is Uttam, therefore everybody else is bad. No, you see their symptoms and you also help them if there is some help needed. Excuse me. You need to understand. So when it comes to, as I said, when it comes to spiritual growth, a Kanishta can only help at one particular level. A Madhyam can take you to a much higher level, and a Uttamadhikari can take you to the topmost level. So you utilize the wisdom of these three categories, at the same time not belittling them, and at the same time being realistic about it. So if it is a kids program and you find that they have made a big mess of the house, you say, I know that this will happen. You can't expect them to clean up after they have played. But if it is adults, you know for sure that like if it is told that please ensure that you use this facility but keep it clean. The moment you see it is kept clean, that means you know that mature people are using it. So these gradations are not for any selfish purpose, but only for the sake of edification, only for the sake of making you aware as to who's situated in what position. And as I would like to repeat again, higher or lower quality is a truism of life. It's like a truism. It is there. It's only how one sees that that makes the difference between like a mature or immature response.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So yes, it's the way you see it, the way you use it uh, makes a difference.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, can we take one more last question?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Prabhuji, we have seen that a lot of spiritual institutions, they tend to compare, saying that, we are superior, we are the best. Uh, is this a symptom of not being a very matured institution?
Exactly. Saying that God is the highest, that is good. But our way of worshiping God, our way of approaching Him is the highest, is, as you rightly said, is a very mature kind of understanding. And in today's times, unfortunately, most of the quarrels are on very superficial issues. So that, like, there are people who are at the lower level, they think they're at a very high level, then they make some utterances which make them come in conflict with other such people, and then they again start fighting among themselves. So we just see that most of the uttamadhikaris, they are just keeping mum, while those who are at that level, they keep on engaging. And because they make a loud noise, they have certain followers who are also of the same ilk, same color. And an intelligent person, or somebody who really wants to experience spiritual growth, he or she feels, my God, I wanted to do something, but when I see these people quarreling, that makes me very embarrassed. That makes me very shameful. That makes me actually discouraged. So this is a sign of this age, Kali Yuga, that this will happen. And therefore, one has to be cool headed in making proper choices.
Thank you. Yeah, that actually makes it sometimes very difficult to choose the path you want to follow, because when you see there are institutions which are claiming supremacy, you start wondering, would I really like to be a part of this institution or not? Thank you very
So
much,
one piece
Prabhuji.
of one piece of advice is just continue being faithful to your inner voice. You continue your prayer, and God is in the heart of everyone, and He will guide this person. If that person is sincerely seeking, surely God will guide him to the right destination. That's for sure. Actually, in the
Thank you very
next
much.
last series, we'll have a small prayer which will address this particular issue. I'll take this issue in the last session next Monday.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your time, and we look forward to the next session, which is the last session on of the walkthrough. Uh,
So wishing
Thank
you
you very
all and
much.
everybody, according to your tradition here, a very Pavitra evening. Is that correct?
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. So wish everybody a Pavitra evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Done, na?
Yeah.
How was it?
You didn't hear?
I've been meeting Radishla. We have come up with 40 courses. And now they're saying, I'm not shut. And